Hello friends, and welcome back to the Snug Club. Quick reminder over my shoulder, it's about the process, not perfection. Today we are going to do a very forgiving project and one of my favorite activities, and the second activity in your Snug Club Summer Solstice box. We're going to tie-dye. So if you are lucky enough to have some sunshine, I encourage you to do this activity outside. I'm going to be doing it inside, and I've set up a workstation that I'm going to show you now with all our supplies, and we're just going to dive into the first step. Here we go. Starting with our supplies, I've sent you guys all a tie-dye kit, and it comes with this first step, which is the soda ash dye fixer. And that's going to go into this warm vat of water here in a second. Got some handy dandy gloves. You've got 3 colors here, a red, a blue, and a yellow. And that's because we wanted to have your primary colors so that you can mix and match some colors as you go through your dyeing process. And then you've got this beautiful Turkish, it's kind of like a table runner, and it should take really well to all these colors. And then 2 napkins to match. And that will go nicely as a lovely summertime table setting. So join me as we dive in. First things first, I'm going to open up this ash dye fixer and throw it into this vat of warm water. And then I'm going to put my, the things I'm going to dye, these 2 napkins and then also our table runner, straight in there. And they're just going to chill in that vat for about 20 minutes, all right? So here we go. So like I said, we put the whole packet of the soda ash dye fixer straight into our basin of warm water, and I put our fabric, our white Turkish linen, and then also our napkins straight in there, and that's going to chill out for 20 minutes. Okay, hi friends, we're back. We have waited our 20 minutes, and we are going to go ahead and just give these a good squeeze. You can reuse this soda ash water to, if you want, to use your extra dye, because there will be extra, because we've just sent, a few bits here. But anyway, give these a good squeeze, and then I'm going to show you how, once you've kind of dried these all out a little bit, I'm going to show you how I like to rubber band them. To do a couple of the different options. So you've got your handy dandy in your tie-dye kit, you've got some options here on how they show you, and I'm going to show you each one of those on each of these things. So this soda ash seems to have really worked. It makes it feel really soft and smooth. I'm just going to give everybody a big squeeze. And then our next step in this process is to do our rubber bands. We're going to take our rubber bands and set these all up for their dyeing, which is going to be good. Now, like I said, you can use your soda ash water again if you've got more things that you'd like to dye at home. Anything that's made of natural fiber and that's light in color will take the dye really easily. So I encourage you to check that out and give that a shot. For me now, I'm going to just show you. Let me move this out of the way. And you've got handy dandy tutorial in your tie-dye kit too. But what I like to do is, there's a couple of different ways. So depending on what style you're going for, and I haven't made the dye yet, so we're going to do that next, but I thought I'd rubber band things together for the first step, or the second step after our soda ash. So take out a couple of rubber bands. I am going to show you guys, there's a couple of different techniques. There is the accordion, so you can do a zigzaggy kind of fold, like pleat your piece in a few different ways. And then you can do your rubber bands around like this, and everywhere you put a rubber band is where the white will try and stay, right? So as much as it can. So depending on how tight you tie your rubber bands and what you do, but that makes a nice kind of accordion effect, which is cool, that approach, so folding it up like that and then doing your rubber bands. The other option you have is you can I like to pinch this and then give it a swirl, and then you can either do rubber bands directly on little swirls like that. I like to do that, and it creates kind of swirly sunbursts, or you can do the whole thing, so swirl the whole thing up, and then once you've got it all kind of bunched and swirled up, tie that into sections. I think it gives you a good tutorial on how to do that. And then do your rubber bands across like this. And then each section you can do, I don't know if you can see that very well. So each section you can do a different color, and that does kind of the swirl burst effect, and that's kind of a fun approach too. And the last one I'm going to show you is the sunburst effect, which is instead of doing a swirl, which you're going to do, so you can kind of see how that shape is coming out. But what you can do instead of that is actually just do little sunbursts, and you would do a pinch again, and then each one of these, you do a bunch of, the tighter you go, the more white you'll see at the end of the project. So I encourage you to explore all the different techniques that are listed in the pamphlet, and literally there's no wrong way to do this. So get excited about exploring whatever it is that makes you feel joy. And then we're gonna next, after I go ahead, I'm gonna do a time lapse of how I'm gonna tie mine up. But yeah, to do the sunburst, you would just keep moving down that pinched piece. Let me show you another one. And then you could do either different colors in each section, or you could do the same colors and just have white break it up for you. But whatever you want to do, there's no wrong way to do this. That's the best thing about tie-dye. It's so fun. It's just a color exploration and a fun way to make unique home goods or clothing. So play to your heart's content. This is a really fun approach. After I get these all tied up, I'm going to show you then how I like to do the dye. You will need two other things. You will need, I like to use a drying rack, like an old cookie drying sheet or cookie cooling sheet, and I like to put that over an old, like a tub like this, or something so that the dye can seep through, and so that your shirt or your fabric doesn't get any extra colors on it. So I'll show you how that goes next, but first I'm going to do all my tying up of these beautiful pieces of fabric. All right, so happy tying to you. Good luck with your rubber banding, and we'll see you after these are ready to rock and roll. I've gone ahead and set up my dyeing station. So like I said, I just have an old cookie cooling rack. I've put that over this rather flimsy situation, but it was the top of a disposable roasting tray, so that the dye can sink through without staining anything below. But even so, I've also protected my worktop table. The other thing that you will need to have on hand, besides your handy dandy gloves that come in that tie-dye kit, is a bag. I like to reuse my bags as much as possible. This is from last season where we had the yarn. I'm going to put, after I've done the dyeing, I'm going to put 2 of the napkins all ready to go in there. And they're actually going to chill out in these plastic bags for at least 12 to 24 hours. So we're going to check on these tomorrow, give them a rinse, and then spin them through our washer. And that is how we're going to finish our project. So back, our dyes have been mixed. They're ready to rock and roll. A couple things about just colors here, right? So a couple things to think about. When red and blue come together, they obviously make purple. When purple and yellow comes together, it makes brown, which in and of itself is a beautiful color. So depending on what kind of palette you want to go for, I'm going to see how well these blend and go together. I'm kind of going to be our little guinea pig with these tie-dye kits. So I'm hoping to get some lovely orange vibes going, a few greeny, turquoisey vibes with the yellow and the blue going. And then some purples, like I said, too. But mostly it's going to be dominantly these actual colors. So you got your kind of bright celerian, you've got this magenta-y red, and then like a dandelion yellow. So whatever you do, have fun. I'm going to make these kind of all multicolor. You don't have to do that. If you want to do a full red set and see how you know, that goes with your full set, so you have matching napkins and everything. That's totally awesome, and I can't wait to see how your project turns out. Again, I'm just gonna use a little bit of every color. I like to start with the lightest color, and I'm just gonna choose a couple of different pockets to start with the yellow and then move out from there. So a reminder, anywhere that there's a rubber band, you're likely gonna see some white. So any spot where there is a rubber band, you might like to put some color there to see it kind of seep through. And yeah, with that, just have some fun. This is like a really fun way to just relax and enjoy these colors. So I really love a bit of color play, and I hope you do too. All right, here we go. Some yellow to begin. I love to get it in different sections. So the section between the rubber bands is where I like to focus the color effort. So try and direct as much of your dye onto the fabric as possible, right? So we've already used like a quarter of this dye just on this first round with the yellow. And the other thing is I'm actually going to flip these over to do the back side a little bit too, so I want to be mindful of my dye use, okay? So that's the yellow. Make sure anytime you're not using a color that you put the cap back on, because many of us still go wonky. So next I'm going to try and match some of the yellow sides with some of the red magenta colors, see if we can make some orange like I was talking about, but let's see how that goes. Oh, she's too vibrant. She's very vibrant, this really red color. And what I might like to do is actually, because it's so potent, this red color, is I might actually go through with the yellow right away and see if we can do some mixing that way. But for now, oh my goodness, it's such a deep red. Fun though, fun. I'm digging it already. All right, so you can straight into these napkins really easily. Woo! Oh, these napkins just absorb that dye. That means they're going to be really vibrant, I hope. Yeah, we're just absorbing all of this straight into their bellies. Right. So I've done a couple of spots where it's looking a little more orangey. Let's see, I might just do our yellow over that. See what happens. But don't be too careful about any of this, alright? This is like the fun bit. Seeing how they all blend together. And we can always go back through again. Just don't want it to be muddy colors, right? Okay, now I'm going to move on to the blue side of things. Again, making sure I put my cap back on. Give it a good shake before we dive in. Let's see what the blues look like. So I'm hoping this will do more of a green when I get next to these yellows. Oh yeah, it is. That's beautiful. That really is working nice. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Yeah, we're really going to get a full rainbow effect doing this like this, I think. Some blue right over that red, see if it'll go purple for us. Blue. So I'm really aiming for anywhere that kind of has some white left. I also love how the blue is playing with the yellow, so I'm going to go back through and add a little bit more yellow and then go back through with some blue. This is so much fun. I love this game. It's like one of my favorite summertime activities, and you know what? Even if you want to bring summer into another season, it's a great one. It's also really fun for the kiddos. Let's see here. That's pretty saturated. It's looking good. This is looking pretty saturated. And like I said, some of the white is where you get the real design effect. So don't be afraid to leave some too. So I'm fully saturated. I'm fully happy. I cannot wait to see how these come together. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to just throw, gently place, actually not throw, these in our paper or plastic baggies, and we're going to have them sit overnight so that they can really absorb those colors. And like I said, just be mindful of where your fingies are when they've got that dye on them. And I try and not have them touch each other. So like these napkins, they're going to go in the same bag, but I don't really want them to touch each other. The colors will bleed in together. Okay. So once that is done and they are tucked into bed, just set them aside like this. And say night-night to those guys until tomorrow. First things first, I'm going to go ahead, I've got my gloves on, we recommend that for you too. I'm going to go ahead and take the rubber bands off. And I'm doing this over my sink so that you can see how the water runs all the beautiful rainbow colors, but then also so you can see, you know, so I can protect my other areas of my home. So I'm taking out all these rubber bands and just setting them aside. Our final step now, once we've rinsed these all out, the water's basically running clear or clear enough. I'm going to throw these in the washer. You can wash them with light colors. It's no problem. The dye won't really do anything to other things you put in there. But I'm just going to put these in together on a quick wash on their own and then throw them in the quick cycle. So you can see the final product here shortly. I'm throwing these straight into the wash now that I've rinsed them clean, and say goodbye. See you after you're done.